On my last World Cup jaunt, we were looking at match day 3 of Asian qualifying, and we had to sit through all the goals, such as this one by Keisuke Honda of Japan. There's a lot less this time, but we're still in Asia. It's match day 4. And we begin with the biggest talking point of the round, as Malaysia took on Saudi Arabia at the Shah Alam Stadium. The Malaysians must have been smarting after being spanked 10-0 by the UAE in the last match day, so it must have been a relief when Safiq gave them a lead in the 70th minute. The joy was only short-lived, however, as 3 minutes later Al Jassim smashed in an equaliser. And just like that, Saudi Arabia had made their comeback. 2-1 it was, thanks to Al Salawi in the 76th minute, and that would have been his 6th goal of qualifying to make him outright top scorer. However, following his goal, angry Malaysian fans then threw flares all over the pitch, causing the match to be abandoned. The final score was 2-1, however, we're not sure it's going to stand. In the other game, Palestine took on the United Arab Emirates at the Faisal Al Husseini International Stadium in Al Ram. And this was Palestine's first ever World Cup qualifier, their actual home ground. There was no goals, however. The match finished 0-0. The result leaves United Arab Emirates top of Group A with 7 points. Next, we look at Group C and the highest scorers from matchday 3, Qatar, as they took on Hong Kong at the Mongkok Stadium in Hong Kong. And Qatar carried on where they left off as Boudiaf scored in the 22nd minute to give them the lead. They then got a second in the 62nd minute through Hassan. Somehow, the players that scored were the 2 players that didn't get a goal against Bhutan. This record changed though in the 84th minute when Musa, who definitely scored against Bhutan, made it 3-0. Hong Kong needed to do something, and with 3 minutes left to play, Bai made it 3-1, cutting the deficit down to 2 goals. But we did get a spoiler here for a future game in the video. Ooh. 2 minutes later, and Hong Kong managed to somehow scramble themselves back into the game as Godfrey poked it in from close range. Unfortunately for them though, it stayed this way. And despite what I said on the last video, Qatar are definitely top of the group with 9 points this time. In Group C's other game, the Maldives took on China, and due to the Maldives Stadium not quite being up to scratch, it was played at the Shenyang Olympic Sports Centre Stadium in Shenyang. China took the lead with a great little lob from Yudu Bao in the 8th minute. And it was 2-0 in the second half when Yudu Bao headed in his second in the 57th minute. It was the exact same situation for China's third goal as well, as Zhang Lingpeng headed in from another corner in the 66th minute, and the final score was 3-0 to China. On to that spoiled game for you now in Group F, as Thailand took on Iraq at the Rajamangala National Stadium in Bangkok. Iraq opened the scoring with this wonder goal by Miram in the 34th minute. 4 minutes into the second half and it was 2-0 to Iraq when Mahmoud scored this at the second attempt. Despite the scoreline, this game was nowhere near over, as Thailand managed to get themselves a penalty in the 80th minute. The penalty was converted by Virafon. 3 minutes later, some bad defending from Iraq meant that Mongkol could poke this home and make it 2-2, meaning Thailand are still top of the group with 7 points. Chinese Taipei took on Vietnam in Group F's other game at the Taipei Municipal Stadium, and Vietnam took the lead in the 53rd minute through Dinh Tien Than. Wu Chun Chin equalised for Chinese Taipei in the 82nd minute when he headed in from that free kick. It would be Vietnam taking the 3 points home, however, as in injury time Tran Phi Son poked this in and somehow they didn't defend it. Somehow. The final score, Chinese Taipei 1, Vietnam 2. It was a rainy night at the Philippine Sports Stadium in Bacau as Group H's Surprise package, the Philippines took on Uzbekistan, and Uzbekistan took the lead in the first minute of the game through Ahmedov. Not that much long later, and it was 2-0 to Uzbekistan as Rashidov fired home in the 14th minute. As the match approached half-time, Uzbekistan made it 3-0 with Sergeyev in the 43rd minute. Sergeyev then headed in his second of the game to make it 4-0 to Uzbekistan in the 65th minute. Next up though, the goal of the game. And although Philippines didn't win, they did get this, as Schrock looped in a free kick in the 68th minute. It was Uzbekistan that would get the final word, as in the 80th minute, Rashidov got his second of the game to make the final score 5-1 to Uzbekistan. Once again, due to security concerns, the other game in Group H, Yemen v Bahrain, had to take place at the Suhaim bin Hamad Stadium in Doha, Qatar. And Yemen gave away a penalty in the 31st minute, which was converted by Ali Baba. Not sure the penalty was worth applause, but Bahrain's second, in the 45th minute, may have been scored by Al Husseini. Oman nabbed Bahrain's third in the 66th minute. I think he may have held back on the acrobatics in the celebration though. This free kick made it 4-0 in the 77th minute by Adnan, and that's how it finished. In the group standings, North Korea lead the way with 9 points. Group E now, and Afghanistan took on Japan at the Azadi Stadium in Tehran, Iran, due to security concerns. Japan took the lead 10 minutes in through Shinji Kagawa. Some determination in the 35th minute meant that Morishige made it 2-0 to Japan, although the goalkeeper was convinced it had crossed the line before it came to the goal scorer. In the second half, Shinji Kagawa got his second goal in the 50th minute. Soon enough, it was 4-0, as Okazaki scored in the 57th minute. 3 minutes later, and the Leicester striker Okazaki had bagged himself a brace to make it 5-0. Japan got their final goal in the 73rd minute through captain Keisuke Honda, meaning the final score was 6-0 to Japan, but they are not top of the group. That distinction falls to Group E's other big winners, Syria, as they took on Cambodia at Cambodia's Olympic Stadium in Phnom Penh. They conceded a penalty earlier, Cambodia, but it was saved, giving the crowd some hope. That hope was dashed, though, in the 29th minute through Cribbin. More of that light applause was required 2 minutes later when Malki made it 2-0. Syria were then 3-0 up in the 39th minute as Cribbin scored his second goal of the game. And it was 4-0 before half-time as Maoas shot home in the 44th minute. There was more of the same in the second half, and in the 50th minute, the ball ran through everyone and came to Midani, who happily scored. And in the 81st minute, Omari scored Syria's 6th to equal Japan's scoreline and get Syria their second 6-0 win of the campaign. Onwards to Group G, and Kuwait were looking to follow up their big win against Myanmar by travelling to Laos at the new Laos National Stadium in Vientiane. They took the lead in the 31st minute through Nasser. Laos managed to hold on until deep into the second half, but unfortunately for them they conceded a penalty in the 84th minute, which was scored by Al Mutawa, and the final score was 2-0 to Kuwait. On to Group G's other big winners from matchday 3, South Korea, as they travelled to the Said International Stadium in Sidon, Lebanon. And there was another penalty in this one. Lebanon conceded it in the 22nd minute, and Jang Hyun-soo scored it for South Korea. And only 4 minutes later it was 2-0, as Ali Hammam poked in an own goal. It would only be a 3-0 win for South Korea this time, but Kwon Chang-hoon's goal in the 60th minute meant that they topped the group on goal difference with 9 points. In Group D, second place Guam took on first place Oman at the Guam FA National Training Centre in Didedo. Unfortunately, this was about as close as either team got, so both teams are on 7 points now, along with the winners of our next game. Bengaluru's Sri Kantarava Stadium hosted India's game against Iran. Iran took the lead in the 28th minute through Azmoun. A minute into the second half and Iran were 2-0 up, Tamorian getting the goal. In the 49th minute the score became 3-0 when the ball eventually fell to Taremi, who would shoot home. And the final score was 3-0 to Iran, and they lead the group on goal difference. The final group to look at is Group B, where Tajikistan took on Australia's Socceroos at the Premier Stadium in Dushanbe, and Australia took the lead in the 57th minute with that strike from Milligan. Tim Cahill tapped the ball in from about a yard out to make it 2-0 in the 73rd minute. The Aussie captain would bag his second and Australia's third in injury time with this header. Final score is Tajikistan 0, Australia 3, and Australia topped the group with 9 points. The final game of the video took place at the Bangabandhu National Stadium in Dhaka as Bangladesh took on Jordan in Group B. A fingertip save from a Bangladeshi defender meant that Jordan had the chance to open the scoring in the 13th minute. Deeb stepped up to take the penalty and had no problems. It was 2-0. Then, in the 33rd minute, through Abu Amara.
انها خطيره على منتخب النشامه، هذه كره ترتد داخل منطقه الجزاء، فرصه اردنيه والهدف الثاني من منظر.
Jordan were cruising, and in the 56th minute Deeb was able to grab his second goal of the game. Jordan rounded off their scoring at 2 minutes later with this nice 1-2 pass move from Al-Bakhit. Final score Bangladesh 0, Jordan 4. And that's it for matchday 4 in Asia. We're not back here until October for matchdays 5 and 6, but we've still got North America's third round to come this month. Like and subscribe.